All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to perform an autopsy on a really weird phenomenon. Why is it that some of the most brilliant AIs on the planet can be, well, spectacularly dumb when it comes to simple, real-world jobs? We're going to look at a real-life story to figure out what is actually happening when these digital geniuses completely miss the mark. So, here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with the true story of an AI just having a total meltdown. Then, we'll get into why this happens, what I like to call the confident liar problem. We'll see how different AIs stack up, bust a huge marketing myth you've probably heard, and then wrap it all up with the one golden rule you absolutely need to know for using AI the right way. Okay, so picture this. Somebody gives one of the most advanced AIs out there, Claude 4.6, a super simple request. Hey, analyze this website, check out the articles, and just tell me if they're any good. Sounds like a piece of cake for a supercomputer, right? Well, it turned into an absolute 2-hour train wreck. And this is where it gets just wild. Not even 20 minutes in, the AI looks at an article about its own future version, Claude 4.7, and declares with total confidence that the article is completely fabricated. I mean, can you imagine? The AI is literally arguing that information about itself, information you can find in its own app, is a lie. The next hour and a half was just this painful back and forth trying to correct it while it kept getting things wrong, all because it couldn't accept a basic fact about its own existence. So that brings up a huge question, right? How can an AI that absolutely aces all its tests, these benchmark exams, fail so badly at a simple practical task? This gets us to a really core problem, the massive gap between theory and reality. And this chart just says it all. You see, in a controlled lab on a standardized test, these AIs are getting 95% accuracy. They're straight-A students. But the second you throw them into the messy real world with a complex job, that accuracy just plummets all the way down to 60%. I mean, that's not just a drop, that's falling off a cliff. So why the huge drop? Well, think of it this way. Lab tests are like a closed book exam. You get specific questions and there are predefined answers. But the real world? It's messy. It's an open book test with ambiguous questions where you need to understand context and make judgments even when you don't have all the facts. It's the difference between memorizing a formula and actually knowing how to build a bridge. And there's a name for what happened in that 2-hour disaster. It's called hallucination. And honestly, it might be the single biggest enemy we have when it comes to trusting AI. So, what exactly is a hallucination? It's when an AI just makes stuff up. It states something that is completely false or fabricated, but it does it with the exact same tone of confidence as when it's telling you the truth. It never says, I'm not sure about this, or this might be wrong. It just lies with a straight face. And this isn't some rare one-in-a-million glitch. Nope. When you give an AI a complex job, the chance it's going to hallucinate can be as high as 35%. Think about that. More than 1 out of every 3 times, it might just confidently tell you something that's totally wrong. This quote just nails it. It's called false confidence syndrome. See, AIs are built to do one thing, generate text. They aren't built to express doubt. So when they hit a question they don't know the answer to, they don't just say, I don't know. Instead, they invent an answer that looks and sounds perfectly correct. But here's the thing, not all AIs are equally bad at this. The way they're built, their architecture makes a huge difference. And right now, there's one particular model that has a pretty big leg up in this fight against making things up. And this table makes it crystal clear why. Just look at that one column, web access. Models like Claude and ChatGPT, they have limited or indirect ways of checking the live internet. But Gemini's deep research model, it's directly wired in. It can check facts in real time. And that single feature cuts its risk of hallucination from 35% all the way down to 15%. That's a massive difference. So how does it pull this off? Well, it's got this built-in fact-checking system. It doesn't just Google something once. It runs a bunch of different searches, pulls information from different places, and then compares them. It actively looks for contradictions. And this is the most important part. It tells you where it got the information. It cites its sources so you can check its work. It's a game changer. Okay, this brings us to something that drives me crazy, and it's this huge myth, usually pushed by marketing, that you can do these giant, complicated things with just one simple command. The reality could not be more different. You want to write one single high-quality article using AI? Get ready for somewhere between 55 and 83 back and forths. That's prompting, editing, fact-checking, reprompting. It's a real process. It's a collaboration, not a magic wand. So next time you see some ad that says, build an entire website with one prompt, just know that's a fantasy. The reality of a project like that is more like 500 plus iterations, a ton of specialized knowledge, and weeks, maybe even months of hard work. The AI is an incredibly powerful tool for sure, but it's not the whole construction crew. So, after all of that, what's the one thing you really truly need to take away from this? It all comes down to one simple, powerful idea. Let's call it the garage's golden rule. And here it is. AI is not a substitute for your knowledge, it just increases your typing speed. Let that sink in. AI is a force multiplier for people who are already experts. If you don't know anything about the subject you're asking about, you have no way of knowing when it's hallucinating, and it will, with absolute confidence, lead you straight off a cliff. And the data doesn't lie. Look at this. If you're an expert and you use AI as your assistant, you've got an 85% chance of a successful outcome. But if you have zero knowledge and you let the AI make decisions for you, that drops to a 5% chance of success. That's a 95% chance of failure or worse. The single most important factor is you. It's your knowledge. So, to bring it all home, here are some hard and fast rules for using AI without getting burned. First, be skeptical. Never ever trust the first thing it spits out. Fact check everything. A great way to do that is to ask multiple AIs the same question and see where they agree. And here's the big one. Never use AI in a field where you are a total beginner. You have to be the expert in the room. Treat it like an assistant, not the boss. Ignore its confident tone. And always, always use it as a tool to help you learn, not as a shortcut to avoid learning altogether. And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. When you're using AI, who's in charge? Is it your assistant, making you faster and smarter at what you already do? Or has it become your boss, making calls in areas where you're flying blind? The answer to that question changes everything.